This class, this is Professor LaShawn Bold, and it is August 19th, 2019. And I'm coming to you to give you a brief overview of Chapter 3 for 3306. And Chapter 3 is entitled Using Micro Skills in the Macro Environment. And I hope you are enjoying the course so far, because at this point we will be moving along, and we will have finished Chapter 1. We'll be moving into doing some teamwork together and getting going on some of these things. Okay, so using micro skills in the macro environment. So think about it. This means using the skills that you would normally use one-on-one with people in the macro environment. So you're going to use the same skills at the macro level. There we go. Okay. As social workers, we need to have interpersonal skills to work effectively with larger systems. So you need to be assertive, which means you need to express things appropriately. Assertive and aggressive are two completely different things. Very important to understand that. You need to be able to work out conflict. So you need to be able to calmly and attentively work out differences with others. And you need to be able to work with your supervisors to be able to express when change is needed. What's really interesting about this is a process over a lifetime. I've been a social worker for about 30 years, and 25, 20, somewhere in there. And I'm still working on assertiveness, dealing with conflict, being calm and attentively working things out, and working with supervisors. But we must try to do that. So here's one of the figures from the course textbook. And let's see, you can find this figure on page 74. So this is a great chart that sort of explains all of the different things involved, okay, and in macro practice, okay. We're first starting out our relationships at an organization or wherever we are in the community. Here is how we work this out, okay. So you're here, where I have, there is my arrow. You're here. You're the worker. You're the social worker. And you're in the agency. So if you notice, here's the agency. And then you have the big egg is the community. And then you also have influence of the political environment. So look at that real close. The agency is within the community, and the community is within a political environment. Okay? So within the agency, you, as a worker, you have your colleagues here. These are other workers or other people that work next to you, okay? And you have a supervisor. Sometimes you may have more than one, but this is a very simple thing. You have, in this picture, you have one supervisor. The supervisor is also influenced by other decision makers within the organization. I mean, this could be board members, it could be people in the community who are involved in making decisions. It just depends on where the agency is. But your supervisor has to answer to some decision makers too. All of this is within the organizational environment. And all of this is affected by this other system of the community environment. So even the community has decision makers and clients within the community who impact the organization, right? And outside of the community, you have another level here called the political environment. And there's decision makers within the political environment that have an effect all the way to the community and to the organization. Here's a basic review of the micro skills. Macro practice always involves working with other people. We have to understand the basic skills in order to communicate appropriately and effectively in a way that will bring out positive change for our clients. Very important that you always keep your eye on the clients. What is the focus of the whole situation? We look at nonverbal and verbal behavior, what is said and what is not said. Okay? Some of these things have to do with eye contact, listening, and whether we're looking at them while we're listening. How many people have been around somebody that is not appearing to look at you, they're looking at their phone when they're listening? That is not attentive listening. Okay? People are having eye contact. When you have eye contact with someone, you're establishing a relationship, a rapport, okay, with them. You're listening to them when you're looking at them. What are your facial expressions? You have to be aware of what your facial expressions are. Are you rolling your eyes? Are you smiling? Are you looking worried? Are you frowning? These are things that we have to be aware of when we're talking to someone else. And particularly in the macro environment, because that's where we're going to try to impact change. We're going to try to have an influence here. If we're going to try to have an influence here, we need to be very attentive about how we're communicating. What does your body position say? If you're in a meeting and you're presenting your ideas about what change you want to affect, either in the agency or outside the agency or in the community, you have to have, what are you showing? Are you showing tense? Are you showing relaxed? Are you being formal or informal? Did you come with your jeans all ripped up? Or are you wearing something that would present a more professional demeanor? Okay? Did you look like you just rolled out of bed and you could care less? That's totally different when you're in a formal setting. You have to know the difference between a formal and an informal setting and be able to adjust yourself to these various settings so that you can have a better impact, a better and a bigger impact. What does your personal space say? There's some settings where you do not go up and start hugging everyone because they will not take that well. Okay? So you have to understand these various areas and prepare yourself. Think about where you're going, what you're doing, how the influence that you have will be perceived. All right? We have to think about multicultural sensitivity and what our nonverbal behaviors, nonverbal behavior says to people of various cultures. And that's why we have to be aware, and one of the reasons, because we don't want to convey the wrong message. So let's look at page 79 at the multicultural communication. This is one of the most interesting pages there is. So it shows what the U.S. interpretation is of things, and then what various cultures are. So when you see this, it says, if somebody is smiling, well, that's great in the United States, but if you're in Russia, they're going to think you're odd or impolite. If you're in Scandinavia, they're going to see you as a weak person. If you're in Asia, they may think you're hiding embarrassment. Or let's get down to if you touch somebody on the shoulder here in our states, within reason, it has warmth and friendship. Or in Asia, it could be offensive or a violation of space. In the Middle East and Latin America, it's warmth and friendship. Sometimes even in Latin America and in Spain, you're expected to walk up to somebody and give them a hug, and if you don't, it's very offensive. And then in Muslim nations, there's no touching at all of the opposite sex. So be sure that you're aware of what the differences could be. Now, don't make assumptions of the people you're working with or dealing with, because you can't assume. You may need to ask, is it okay if I or, I'm not saying ask every time, but I'm saying don't assume, but be aware that there are differences. Watch how they interact with other people in the group, and try to follow suit with what they're doing in the rest of the group. So ultimately, we want the receiver to hear hear and understand our message. So if we are trying to get them to listen to us, we have to be clear, we can't be vague, and we have to understand the culture differences. We have to understand that we aren't going to be very clear if the phone's ringing, if other people are talking, if there's noise, distractions.
Okay.
And we're going to be unclear. It's not going to be received well if they have a divided attention and we have a divided attention, or if they're concerned about something else, or if either one of the parties is biased. We may have to overcome those things. Or if there's hearing impairments, sometimes we just totally assume that somebody who looks one way, is able to hear or see. We have to make sure we understand where that person's coming from. Warmth, empathy, and genuineness are really important in building relationships and establishing rapport. And the first thing to establish rapport that you want to do is be sincere and warm. Smile. Smiling is very, very, very important. And if you are somebody who doesn't smile very often, or somebody who's been told you have what's called a flat affect, meaning you don't express hardly any emotions in your face, you're going to need to work at this. You may need to practice looking warm and sincere. And the more you practice in the right circumstances, you don't want to practice looking warm and sincere in an inappropriate setting.
I mean, not that
it's not. You know what I'm saying. You don't want to be too warm. There's a happy medium here. But you may want to practice.
You may want to record yourself. And you may want to ask other people, what do you think about that?
You want to be able to have empathy and be in tune with someone when they feel like you understand. Now, it sounds a little bit like I'm saying you should fake it. Okay? Or you should pretend to be something you're not. It's not true. But as a social worker, you must
have some empathy towards other people. If
you're somebody who doesn't really care about other people and has no empathy for people in need, then I don't know about
social work as a career. That may not be the right thing.
You need to be genuine. Continue to be yourself despite the fact that you're working to accomplish goals. Okay, nonverbal behavior, communication, empowerment, and people who live with physical disabilities. You may need to adjust and accommodate to their needs. So with visual impairments, you're going to need to make sure that the people who have these impairments are able to see, hear, and attend and be present for what you are presenting to them. Communicating with other people in the macro context means, giving some simple encouragement, being sensitive to culture, maybe paraphrasing, restating. So you are going to see these communication skills in your micro practice classes as well. We use the same skills, these same ideas about nodding your head and understanding, about reflecting. I hear what you're saying. So what you're saying is, and repeating back what they said. Okay. This might mean asking some questions for clarification. So what you mean is, so I understood you to say, whatever it is you understood them to say, and see if it's correct. But you have to be genuine in that, and you have to be willing to accept their feedback too. If they say you're incorrect, then you need to be willing to accept that. They said you were incorrect, and you probably need to make an adjustment. And be open to making adjustments. Some people get very defensive when they receive negative feedback. Or not necessarily negative, but feedback that's the opposite of what they expected. Some people can get very upset about that. But you have to overcome that. That's part of the calm demeanor. Again, it's a lifetime work in progress. You have to provide information. You want to emphasize another person's strengths. You want to make sure that people understand the main points of the conversation. There are ways that the course text explains this in much detail. I want to encourage you to read this chapter very closely. Okay? One of the things I want to point out this too is that the use of the word why. Well, why do you feel that way? Why is this? What happened? Why? It's not a good use of communication because it puts the person on the defensive. Usually they can't answer. It'll just stop the conversation right there because they don't know why. They may not be able to answer or put it into words why. So here's some areas about appropriate assertiveness, and I put on assertiveness, there are some good videos on in this chapter, in this module, that I want you to be sure and look at.
Because there's some interesting things there.
But when you're not assertive, it means the other person is important, and you are not. That means that they're so important that you're not even going to talk. You're going to try to disagree with them or try to. It's not going to help if you're trying to
make a change.
In assertiveness, you both, when you're communicating assertively, you're having respect for the other person. Now, when you're aggressive, all you're thinking about is yourself. Okay? So think about, like, there's a communication where you're just sitting there thinking about what you're going to say next. It's not a good communication. If the two people are talking and all you can think about is what you question you're going to ask next, or what you're going to say next, then you're not communicating with that person. Okay? You haven't heard them. They haven't heard you. It's not working. It's a two-way street. So each of us also has assertiveness rights. So let's look at page 90 and 93.
I'm going to give you a minute to look at that.
Oh, I must have the wrong pages.
Let's see if I can find it.
Obviously, this.
PowerPoint was on a different place.
1 second. There are assertiveness rights. Okay, this starts on 90. Oh, yeah, 90.
90 to 93. This is correct.
Okay, you have the right to express your ideas and opinions openly and honestly. Okay? You have the right to direct and govern your own life. This is very, very interesting, isn't it? You have the right to direct your own life. I should read the
details here. It's really, really interesting. Seems like there was another one here.
You have the right to be right or wrong. You have the right to be right and you have the right to be wrong. Okay? You don't have to sway for somebody else necessarily. Maybe you can listen to them assertively and attentively and say, oh, well, maybe I hadn't thought about it that way. And be open to new ideas. You have the right, on the one hand, to make requests, and on the other, to refuse them without feeling guilty. You can say no. Very hard for social workers to do. But you can say no. You have the right not to be liked by everyone. And I will tell you that I didn't know that until years. I was probably 30 years old before I realized that not everybody was going to like me. But you have the right not to be liked by everybody. It's okay. What I love about this list. You have the right to ask for information if you need it. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to ask for questions. Ask questions. It's okay to seek help. And you have the right to decide not to exercise your assertive rights. The point here is that you need to know that you have them. Okay? It's good to know that you have them. And then there's some ways to be assertive. Okay? And I want you to read the course text on that too. And then on 96, there's some assertiveness kinds of training that will help you move through this. Write it down. Think about your actions. I'm looking at page 96 now. It's actually 96.
The suggestions
Analyze how you reacted in the situation. Okay? Look at somebody else. How do they normally react? Okay? If something happens, and likely it will, where maybe you didn't get along with somebody else, it's really important to step back and say, is this me or them? Is this something that I did? Or is it something that the two of us weren't able to communicate about, and why? And write it down. Sit down and write down exactly what happened. And the breakdown of every step of what happened. And then you can say, oh, and it'll help you see so much clearer. And you may see something that you did wrong and you can work on. Okay. That is the end of this presentation. And I thank you for your time. It was short and sweet. So I hope that you got something out of it, and I hope that you will read this chapter. All of the chapters in this class are very, very important and very helpful to you, not only professionally but personally. So have a great day.